Okay, so today we're going to do a pressurized brake flush on this BMW. This is going to apply to a lot of cars. It doesn't have to be a BMW, right? It's just, that's what I'm doing it on. I've had this car for over 3 months now driving. And most likely it's never had a brake flush done on it. It's one of them things that people don't think about brake fluid flushes. You kind of want to do it every 2 or 3 years if you can. So what I use in higher end cars, I'll say it that way, and or cars that have like big brake kits, like my GTI has a huge brake kit on it. I like to use this Super 4 brake fluid. This stuff is, I've had good success with that. It's in my truck, and I do a lot of towing. My truck also has a big brake kit on it as well. And it tends not to boil over. It tends to, be fairly good brake fluid. It's expensive. It's about $15, $16 a liter. I think you can get it online. If you buy enough of it, which you don't really need a lot, but if you buy enough of it online, I think you could probably get free shipping and get it down to about $10 a liter. It's up to you. What I'm going to do, or how I'm going to do my pressurized bleed is we're going to use this Mityvac MV6400. I use this for all kinds of stuff. Transmission fluid, gear oil, I mean, everything, right? I use that for any kind of fluid that I need to pressurize and put somewhere. And then I have a brake bleed adapter kit that works with that same pressurized filler. And that's part number MVA6850. So if you Google those, you'll find them. None of that stuff's cheap, so now if you're just interested in one-off, just bleed it with your foot, right? No big deal. But I'll show you guys that kit. So that's the filler piece of it, right? And here's the brake kit, and it comes with a bunch of different adapters for different models. A universal one. Here's the you got chains and stuff. You can screw this on. Like if you got one of my customers has a '67 Mustang, and that's what you're going to use that for, right? And it's even got a little diagram on how to do it there, but yeah, for this BMW, we're going to need, let's hope you guys can see this, but this is ID BMW Jag Land Rover. So it's 804 is their part number, but it's a 45 mil thread, right? Which I believe, is this? Yeah, 804, yeah, that's our one. So this is our guy for this BMW. And I did pull the cap off this. I don't know if you guys can see that there. So that's the original cap. And then this one, you just screw it on in place, right? There you go. And then you can angle this wherever you need it. And we're basically going to put fresh fluid in under pressure, crack all the bleeders until we get fresh fluid out of all the bleeders, right? No big deal. I am going to suck the fluid out of here first before we do that, because we don't want to push all this dirty fluid through our brake lines, right? There's no point in doing that. Might as well just get it out of there and put as much fresh fluid in as you can, right? So I'm going to put this car up in the air a little, rip all the wheels off it, and then I'm going to go crack all the bleeders, make sure none of them are going to break on me. And then I'll turn the camera back on when I've got it all set up and show you guys how that works. Okay, so I went around and cracked all the I pulled all the wheels off the car. Didn't really have to do that. I mean, you could do this without doing that, but I'm doing something else to this car as well that has nothing to do with the bleeding of the brakes. So I had to pull the wheels off it anyway. Plus for you guys to see, right? It'd be a lot easier with the wheel off. So the rears are a 9 mil and the fronts are 11 mil. I just went around and cracked them off just to make sure we weren't gonna have any problems. No issues whatsoever. They all cracked loose, no problem. I'm going to put the brake fluid into the Mityvac, purge the lines, and then I did suck out everything out of the master cylinder. So what I'll do is set that cap on, release the fluid from the Mityvac, and then fill that master cylinder up to like the full mark, and then we'll shut it off, put the cap on properly, then repressurize that same master cylinder again. Hopefully that makes sense. You don't want to empty master cylinder and then try and pressurize fluid into it. You're just gonna have air bubbles everywhere. It'll never work. So I'll show you guys how this tool works, right? So it's got this gauge on the top where you just pump it up and set your pressure. And then this is a release valve. So when you're done, before you remove the cap, you just lift this up and let the air out of the system. Otherwise, if you took the cap off, this fucking brake fluid would go everywhere. Don't do that. It's very bad for your paint. And yeah, you want to put a pair of gloves on too. Brake fluids, it's kind of nasty stuff. So yeah, this is super clean. Can't stress that enough. I cleaned it out with brake cleaner 3 or 4 times, and then I also cleaned all the lines out with brake cleaner. Yeah, you don't want gear oil in your brake fluid. That's what I used in here last. So you just basically fill this up. I'm going to put in probably almost 2 liters, it looks like. And then whatever I have left, I'll just empty back out of here and put it back into the can. So yeah, let me fill this up and then I'll turn you guys back on and show you how this works. Okay. Or maybe I'll just leave it on. I gotta pause you. Somebody's asking me a question for work. Yeah, let me deal with this lady. All right, she's taken care of. So get your lid. You want this nice and tight. And then we're going to pump it up. We're going to purge the lines. Then we're going to hook it to the cap that we were out of that MV6400 kit, the one for the BMW. And then we're going to fill that master cylinder back up, screw the cap on, pressurize it, start cracking bleeders. Okay, so we've got our lines purged. So we've got nice clean brake fluid all the way through. We're sitting at about 14 PSI. It's about all you want to do. I mean, you don't need to go crazy high when you're doing this stuff. And then, let's see if this is going to reach here. Ooh. I don't want that metal. I don't want that metal cap there. So, let's see. Let me get a bit of height. But yeah, basically what we're going to do is set this over the cap, not tighten it, plug this in, hit this lever here, fill up the master cylinder to the high mark, shut it off, pressurize it, go bleed some brakes. Let me get something to set this on because I don't want this this metal valve sitting on the wing because it's going to scratch it. Go. So let's put our valve up in here. This way here. Plug it in. Alright, so I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see or not. So basically we're all hooked up, ready to go. I'm going to open the valve, fill it up, shut the valve off, screw the cap. Oh, it's hard to see. Let me get a little light. That fluid's so clean, it's hard to see like where the level is. There we go, much better. So we are almost full, so I'm going to leave it just a little below full. Alright, let's screw our cap on. You want that nice and tight. Okay, so we're at 12 PSI. That's pretty much perfect. I'm going to leave this sitting here. We're going to open this valve. I'm going to go to the back passenger rear caliper. I'm going to bleed it out until we get nice clean fluid coming out of there. Okay, so our valve is open. We now have a pressurized feed into the master cylinder. So as soon as we crack a bleeder, it's just gonna, right? So we need to get a hose and a bucket to catch all that dirty fluid. And yeah, we should be ready to go. So real quick before I show you how to bleed it with that, this is what came out of that rear. I just shot another little clip showing you how dirty it was. I started getting super clean fluid coming out of that bleeder after 2 ounces. So that's all it took to push through them lines. Right? Them lines they're real thin. Doesn't take a lot of fluid. So that's another good thing about doing it this way. You don't waste a whole ton of brake fluid. You know, pumping them and squirting it through. You know, pumping the pedal. You don't need another person. You just do it yourself, and as soon as you get clear fluid, shut it off. And I'll show you how this, where we are from a pressurized system. The Mityvac's down to 11 psi. So it took 1 psi to get 2 ounces of fluid out of that rear caliper. And then if you look, I'll show you this way, it's probably easier. So you can see our lines nice and solid, no air bubbles or anything, right? And our master cylinder is sitting right at the high mark. And that's where I filled it up to, right there. So there's air up here, but that air stays, right? Because it's a sealed system. So when we're done and we take that cap off, it'll be completely full, which is actually probably not good because the brake pads on this are 3/4 worn. So if I don't take some of that back out when I go to put brakes in it, that thing's gonna overflow, right? So keep that in your mind too, right? You don't want to always just fill it all the way back up like that. I'm probably gonna suck a little bit of this out and get it under the high mark, just so that when I go to do brakes on this car, I don't end up firing brake fluid all over the place, right? So keep that in your mind too. Don't just fill a reservoir when your brakes are almost done. I think these brakes have probably got another, I don't know, 10,000 miles on them, right? Something like that. But they're not new, so don't fill it all the way up. All right, so hopefully you guys can see. I'm gonna try this again. I just did it and got this much out, but the little dust cap was in the way, so you guys really couldn't see anything. So I'm gonna try it again here for you. So this is a 9 mil, and just get your cup kind of underneath it like that and crack it open. And hopefully you guys can see it. It's just running into the cup. You can get a little hose too and do it that way. I don't know, I'm being lazy. But I can see already that we're getting nice clean fluid into that cup now, right? I just let it hit the sidewall and turn it. I mean, it's brand new fluid already. So, which makes sense because we put brand new fluid all the way to the T connector that's back there. So that's all we needed to get out of the passenger rear after doing the driver's rear. And it's, let's see, do we have a measurement? It's about 1 ounce. And I let clear fluid run through it for quite a while. So, yeah, so far we've used 3 ounces of brake fluid, plus what we put into the reservoir, right? And again, this is pretty bad in here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Oh, here, let me see if I can. Ooh, is that going to work? Can you get? Oh, no, that's not. I don't know if that's going to work or not. There's a bunch of junk in there. Oh. Hopefully you can see them floaties. Yeah, it's pretty nasty. So. Yeah, I mean, that's how you do it. Crack the bleeder, wait for fresh fluid. This is not hard. So I just got the fronts to do. I'll see if I can, let me see if I can get this front one easily. Yeah, that might not be too bad. I'll try and get this one for you guys. Get you a light and stuff. This bleeder's facing up, so I'm gonna give you a little hose so we don't make a huge mess. I think I have one over here. Yeah, here we go. So keep that in mind. Don't open a bleeder that's facing up because it'll just run down and just go everywhere. You'll never be able to catch it. So get a little rubber hose for it. Just go over the nipple. And let me go get open-ended 11 mil. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this. So what we're gonna do is just crack this bleeder. I'm gonna aim our hose down like so. And this shouldn't take much fluid at all. But we're very close to the master cylinder at this point, right? And don't crack more than like half a turn. You just don't need it. Hopefully you guys can see that peeing out there. And again, what I do is just set it to the side. And it looks dark, dark, dark. And then, you know, I let it pee for a minute, check it again. Yeah, it's starting to look pretty clear. And there's brand new fluid right now coming out of it. That is brand new fluid. Oh. So I mean, you're done at this point. I mean, it's that easy. Your little hose will have some fluid in it, so just take it off with the ride so you don't make a mess. Yeah, one more to go. So I'm going to try and get this one for you guys too. And just take your little rubber hose there, put it on your bleeder, just like we did on the last one. I did empty out my little container. In case you're wondering, so far we've used a total of 4 ounces in the bleeding procedure, plus, you know, whatever we put in the master cylinder. So there's your. This one will be clear almost instantly, I'm sure. It does not have far to go. Yeah, there you go. It's brand new fluid already. It looks beautiful. And there you go. That's how you bleed your brakes with the Mityvac pressure bleeding system. And here, I'll show you what I meant about the hose, right? So that's, you don't want them drops dripping on your floor or anything. So hopefully that made sense. You know, it's just you're pressurizing your brake system with new fluid, cracking bleeders, done. So how you disassemble this, you want to leave your valve open so the feed into the master cylinder, and then pull this little yellow plug right here on the top of your Mityvac to depressurize the Mityvac. Hopefully you can hear that. So you want that thing, just, you know, make sure there's no pressure in it. Then go ahead, lock your valve off so that you're not risking, you know, firing fluid anywhere. Then you can just disconnect it. And yeah, just like that, you know, you've depressurized your system. Get ready for the next one. So, you know, not super complicated. Working alone, that's an invaluable tool. You can do the vacuum bleeder alone as well. I just don't trust it. Again, I've had one, I've used it, I still have one. I don't use it. I mean, I don't use it anymore. So let's get our cap off. Oh my God, I got that on tight. So go ahead, pull the cap off from your kit. And like I think I mentioned somewhere in the video, this thing, I filled it up too much. I put it up to the max before we did this. I probably should have just put it to halfway. So it's sitting right now pretty much at the max mark, which is too much. I got to pull some out again because the brakes on this car are worn down, probably 3/4 of the way. So I'm gonna suck a little bit out, drop that down to, probably drop it down to halfway between the min and the max. Then when we put brakes in it, I'll keep an eye on that and make sure we don't overflow. And that's it. Job's done. The fluid we got out of the last one, you know, obviously is way nicer than the fluid we got out of the other 3. Still somewhat dark. Couple little bits of crap in it, not too bad. But all told, that's less than an ounce. So we put we put 5 ounces of fluid through all the lines and got them bled. So, and this is expensive fluid. That's the way to go. If you're pumping the pedal and doing it that way, yeah, you have to have another person. You can't really keep track of your fluid, and yeah, if you're trying to be frugal, that's the way to go. Well, unless you buy the machine, which is super expensive. Okay, so that's how you do the pressure bleeding on your brakes. Applies to almost all cars. I forget what that kit costs. I think you can buy the entire kit for like 250 bucks or something. You know, get you the pressure bleeder and the adapter kit for brakes. You know, that Mityvac tool, that pressurized tool, I use it for all kinds of stuff, not just brakes. I mean, yeah, if you've watched any of my other videos, I'm sure you've seen it, right? I use that stuff, I think, for everything. Gear oil, transmissions, you name it. I mean, it does a great job. That's how you do it on brakes. It's worth it. It's a very efficient way of you know, pressure bleeding your brakes, right? I did reach my hand in there and hit the brake pedal. Just, you know, it's a good habit, and it's rock solid. So I give it a couple of pumps, and it never moved more than normal, which is another reason you want to do that, because when you bleed your brakes using the paddle method with a person inside, you know, that your master cylinder is not used to the plunger going all the way in and all the way out. And not so much on this car, but on like older cars, when you start doing that, it can damage the seals inside the master cylinder, and then all of a sudden your master cylinder is leaking internally. And yeah, especially if it had really dirty brake fluid, like all them little bits of grit and crap. I mean, they're in there in the master cylinder around the plunger, right? So it's a safe way of, you know, bleeding your brakes, I guess. But you know, I won't go off on too much of a tangent on bleeding brakes the right and wrong way. You know, do whatever works for you. You know, this way works for me. I like doing it this way because I can do it by myself, and I feel confident that there's never going to be an issue, unlike the vacuum bleeder stuff. So anyway, enough rambling. That's it. That's how you pressure bleed your brakes at home, alone, in the garage. Lovely jubbly.